able to see my screen? Yes. Okay. Where is? Let me show you. An integration which I built. This one. This is a very similar one-off. What? Yes. Right. Okay. This is something interesting and you will love this. I will share this with you. Are you guys able to hear me? Yeah. Okay. So this is a very simple one, right? But it's related to finance. But concept is the same. I think you can keep this for your future reference. I will share this with you. It's a very good plan. Okay. So what is this? The requirement is that there will be a file. Right on SFTP. You have to read that file and that file will have different supplier invoice. Right. So it's an invoice which you have to load it into work. Right. Similar to the requirement which I have given you, like, here there will be a file and there you will have to read it and load it as applicants write. Similar kind of stuff. Okay. Also, the requirement is that you need to do an error handling in the sense. Generate a log file of if there is any error for a particular record and all that right. Now let me. This was. Let me this. Okay, so say this. This one is like this. So you have supplier ID. You have no invoice ID. Then you have supplier ID, you have amount. You have company. Something like that, right? And here invoice ID is 1, supplier ID is S1, amount is 22. Company is X1. Then again, supplier ID is 1, so an invoice can have multiple lines. Right, okay, right. So a basic concept of an invoice is in financial word, supplier invoice. Suppose you are purchasing something from a supplier, right? For example, say, the supplier is Dell. Now you have bought 10 printers, 20 laptops. Right. So yeah, they will send you an invoice where you will. It will have 2 lines. The first line will be printer's quantity. 20 total amount, this much, and then second line will be something and all that, right? So it's like that. Right. And then say invoice to which is supplier 3 and something like that. Right. So when we load into Workday, this is one invoice because the ID is the same. Right, invoice ID is the same. Yeah, so that means we have to club. Group it all. The invoice which are of same ID should be one invoice, meaning it will have 2 lines. Right. If, say, the next one has 3 lines like this, then it will be an invoice with 3 lines. Yeah. Clear. This is the concept. Yeah, okay. Now how we will do? It is start here. It has any launch parameter. No services, no launch parameter, nothing. Get even documents. This is again the same component which you just did. Right. Then you have document iterator. Why? Because there can be multiple files on SFTP. Right here I have given the variable name as file. So in the copy step I'm just making my message as file. Okay, after that, init variables write. So this is how I have done here, logging. Okay, error in the beginning when you started processing. Everything is 0. There is 0 error, 0 warning, 0 success. Count is also 0. And pcount is just my another variable where everything I am initializing it to 0. Right, I've just created 4 variables. Okay, 5 variables to do like this. Okay, after that is MBL expression, which is a component called validate expression. And you are doing that dot size greater than 0. That means if there is no file on SFTP, it will give an error. So the async has an sender or component and it is going to put integration message. I've just changed the name to handle to give it the name as handle event right in this. What I'm saying is so the way this work is, it executes this. If it is true, then it will go to the next component. If it is false, then this is the error message. This one will become your context, that error message. So this failure message, you're overriding it. Okay, and here is this, whatever you will give, it will give that no file, the retrieve from SFTP. So here, if I write this like context.error message, what it will give? It will give me no files retrieved from SFTP and then this message, file not. Then after that, okay, if it passes that validation, meaning the file is present, it goes to next, where we are doing CSV to XML. Yeah, simple. Either you give variable or you keep message. Doesn't matter, because after this copy step, our message is defined, so it's fine. I'm just logging it again. Send error is just making it critical error, while this is just a copy-paste error. But you can say error while converting into XML. You can say there will be no error here. But just in case, if there is an error, you can handle that right. So these are the errors where right away critical means integration will fail. Right. So these are the because, say, if there is no file, integration should fail. Yeah, so that's what is happening till now. Okay. Then is, next is eval. So eval, here there is this pcount variable where what I'm doing, it parts of 0.x, part dot, count of root/row. So this count of root/row tells me how many times row exist. In short, It is telling you how many rows are there. So that's why this count variable is. You are doing the splitter right root/row. Yeah, you are getting 50 files. So 50 is the count of root/row. So that's what it will do for you. This value will become 50. Okay. Right. Then comes MBEL expression again here. I am now checking that this p count should be greater than 0. If it is less than 0 or if it is equal to 0, that means there is no data in the file. The file is empty, correct? So that's why here it is saying context.error message, which will be this one, no data in the input file. Okay, yeah, ideally it should be. It should be critical, because if it is critical, meaning integration will stop then and there. If it is completed with error. Yeah, if it is completed with error, integration will execute that. Yeah, right, it will give error, but it will move forward. Similarly, if it is warning, it will give a warning, but it will again process the next steps. So only in critical, it stops, it will stop. It stops then and there, yeah. Right, so we will see that. Okay, right, okay after that. Now it has passed this. That data is there. Now I have XSLT. Now this XSLT step will work on what? What is the input to this XSLT? It's the output of the CSV to XML, right? In your case, Farad, it is that full XML. Yeah, root and multiple rows. You are there, right? So this one will come here. Now, why I'm doing it here is because of this scenario. I want to group all into this, so my thing will be. What will happen here is this. So you have your XML version and blah, blah, blah. Right. And then you have root, then you have write. Why is it row? And then in the row you will have multiple write, say I have invoice ID, then I have supplier and then amount, and then it will end right. And after that again there will be another row right, and this one again will have the same supplier. Yeah, and it will have the same invoice ID, but the amount will be different. And yeah, so there can be multiple rows like this, but what do you want is? Your output should be. Your output should be that XML version, root and then row, and in this you can have, I will do it like this. I will make it. I can change it here, supplier, or say invoice. In invoice there will be some header right. So if you see here supplier is common, yeah, so that one will be in the header. But amount, supplier and invoice ID, both are common right. For one invoice there will be one ID and one supplier, but since there will be 2, 3 lines, amount can be different. And then there will be other fields which are different, right? So I will now, if you see here, okay, template match route. Yeah, at the top level, I am matching that route and then whatever you give here will become your tag instead of row. Now I'm putting invoices after that. There, this is a syntax for each group. Select row group by document number. Document number. Here is nothing but the invoice number. So if the invoice number match, then it will come. It will become one invoice and in this I have the batch ID, I have supplier ID, I have data and memo and these are common. So, for all the invoices which are having the same number, select this one and then it will have multiple. This because now it is saying a loop here for each current group. Meaning for each document, for each row which is having this document number. Have here like cost center, spend category and the amount. This is a logic. You can forget about this logic, but you can check the syntax here. I'm checking if and else it was a business requirement. But okay, if the document type is 1, it is debit amount, if the document type is 5, it is credit, debit credit and all that stuff. Right so, but this is how you do grouping. You do a group by which field you have to group and then, for each current group, you can just select. Do you have like XML for this accessibility? I doubt, because my thing here is from this one, but I don't have it. It was very long back. Okay. But it is simple. It will have root/row and then different fields. Like, you have employee ID or employee ID here you can compare it to document number. Okay, right and the other stuff. Say, for example, in your file, suppose, in your file there is thing that each employee will not have one row, it can have multiple rows. Yeah, right. So what you will do is you'll group by employee number and then there will be. And then you're saying your tag will be employee. Instead of this invoice it will be employee. Then you will have inside this employee ID here, employee ID first name, last name, and then the things which are repeating, which are like distinguishing between that. Right. So if say, you have 3 rows, in those 3 rows there will be key fields. Right. Employee ID is key, first name is key, last name is key because these 3 will be same. Suppose there are other columns which are like amount, or say the payment, the pay, the salary can vary. So, for example, if you're getting it for a quarter, an employee will have 3 rows for one for March salary, February salary and that one. So those are the 3 things which will be different. So what you'll do is, for each select employee ID, the top one are the fixed values and in this one, these are the things which are changing. So it will have employee and then you can put another like employee lines. And inside that you can put your different columns, different tags. That's how it will be okay. So now what happens is, after this XSLT, what will happen? Is suppose before I had 100 rows. Now, after this XSLT, my 100 rows will get decreased, right? Suppose, in your file you have 50 rows now, but say, some employees will have 2 rows, some will have 3 rows. Right after this XSLT, because it will group them up, your rows will decrease right from 50. It will become might be 30. Yeah. Then I'm doing the splitter. Why I'm doing splitter now is because I know now I have unique invoices per supplier, right? So I have these local outs called splitter. I do declaration in workspace. It comes here split. This is again. I'm doing that count here. Write count of invoice. /invoices. /invoice. Now it is giving me the count of new XML which got generated after this right here. If you see I'm doing count of root/row. So if you consider your file, this will give you 50. But then if you doing it here after this XSLT, this count will be 30 because it combined all those employees which are having duplicate or multiple rows. Now it is giving me only 30 rows because there were 30 employees. Those 30 were having duplicate rows, so it has now, after the grouping, it has done this okay. Okay, now there is a splitter, which is now instead of root row, because I have changed my XML. That's why here it is, invoices/invoice. Okay. After that is eval. What eval is doing, because your splitter will give you now each fragment of XML right, one by one. So now say, if there are 30 ones, it will give one by one each. So what I'm doing is now I'm storing my variables. So invoice ID, batch ID, supplier ID, date, description, whatever is there in the XML. I'm just storing them in a variable. Okay. And then now I'm not using this router here. But in your case it can be saved. The requirement is if, in your case, consider it to be the employee data right. So you have all that data employee ID, first name, last name, date and employee status, for example, which is active, terminated or on leave. Something like that right now you need the requirement is, if the employee is active, you have to do some updates. If it is terminated, you have to do some another update. If it is on leave, we have to do some other update. Right, so there are 3 flows. Then in that case you will use a router and you can have this route as ML strategy and you put your props of employee status is equal to A, which is active. Then what should happen if it is inactive? What should happen if it is on leave or terminated or whatever?